Okay, Easter bunnies and Easter eggs, we're all ready for Easter. Around and round we go. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog. It is Monday, April the 7th, 2025, and it is vlog number 403, and I hope everybody had a nice weekend. And let's jump right into my current project, and I have the top done for this. And this is my giraffe quilt by Tracy Perks. That's the designer of the pattern. And the top is done, and I'm hoping today that I'm going to get it on Lucy and get it all quilted. We shall see. I've picked a quilting pattern for it, and I'll talk more about the quilting pattern and what I picked and what I'm doing with the backing, since I bought some fabric I have never used before, Cuddle. So that's going to be an adventure. I may do some experimentation before I commit it to this quilt. And again, we'll talk about that tomorrow. And hopefully tomorrow on The Idiot Quilter, I will have success to tell you about with this project. Okay, and that's about the only thing that I've gotten done in the past week. I've been working on some 3D prints. I'm working on another one of those FULVs, FULVU or whatever models. You'll get glimpses of it in today's video, but it's not quite complete yet. The parts are all made, but I am in the process of gluing it all together. And that takes a little bit of time and patience as well, both of which I have in short supply. So anyways, there'll be more about that next week on the vlog for those of you that are 3D printing fans. Okay, so let's talk about something I'm not a fan of, and I have a feeling there's a lot of us in this boat, and that's the whole thing about tipping. Don't you just hate it when you walk into a place where you serve yourself, or basically, you stand in front of a counter like a Subway shop or McDonald's or something like that, and you get the little box for paying, and right off the top, there's a spot for you to add a tip, and a tip of like 18% and up. Remember the days when a decent tip was considered 15%? Yeah, well, I don't use that. I don't tip. Not in those kind of restaurants. I'm sorry, that people may not be making as much money as they might make at another job, but I have a solution for that. Get a better job. Yeah. Of course, this all really got started during COVID, when everybody was tipping everybody because there was a lot of delivery services going around, like the Skip the Dishes and places like that. But let's be real about it, and especially right now, given the political economic climate here in our country, with everything that's going on, yeah, tipping isn't something that should be expected. It's nice if you're a server and you get it. And yeah, I've heard all the arguments about, they don't get paid as much, and that's not really true here in Canada. To a certain degree, not like in the States. Yes, in the States, servers are paid poverty wages. There's no two ways about it, and tipping is part of their salary. But that's not really the trend here. But anyways, I know people have a lot of opinions about tipping, when to tip, what to tip for, that kind of thing, and the amount. But I did find a video for this week's video clip that is actually from John Oliver. And he's hilarious if you've never watched any of his shows, called This Week Tonight. But he did spend one of his shows talking about tipping. And he is a comedian, but he also looks at things from a serious point of view as well. So you get entertained and you get informed. But here's my review of that video clip. This week's YouTube video comes from a comedian called John Oliver, and I'm sure if you have HBO or YouTube, you have probably seen some of his hilarious weekly episodes about the state of the world. And on this particular one, I found very interesting because we have a problem these days, and that has to do with tipping. And he addresses that problem in a very humorous way, but at the same time in an informative way as well. I know that for certain cultures, tipping is a way of life here in Canada. Well, we're not such big tippers, but nevertheless, I'm getting really tired when I go into a restaurant and they hand me the machine to pay for my bill with suggested tip amounts, which are much higher than what necessarily I think is deserved. But anyways, he talks all about this and he looks at it from various perspectives. So if you're interested in being entertained but also informed about something that is becoming a bit of a major problem in our society, that is tipping, then you're going to want to check out this video by John Oliver called Tipping, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. And if you're interested in checking out the whole show, then there's a link for that in the show notes below. And I suggest you do, because if anything, it is good entertainment and it's a nice break from the usual stuff that YouTube has on it these days, which is all about Trump. Getting tired of that? I am, but not too tired that I won't fight for what's ours as Canadians against American takeover and everything else. And it looks like, and I don't want to get too political today, but it looks like some of the Americans are figuring this out too, given the protests over this past weekend. And let's hope that keeps up and that there is a very clear message that will be acted upon by the American government in a positive way. Okay, moving right along. Well, in my resources, you're going to find lots of links for lots of things. So let's talk about what you're going to find. Well, you're going to find a link for the Idiot Quilter pop-up sew day that's happening this coming Saturday, April the 12th. The virtual doors open at 8 a.m. and we'll be sewing along until about 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So that's this Saturday, April 12th. All are welcome. And those of you on my mailing list, you will have received by now an announcement about this with the link in your mailbox for it. So that'll be lots of fun. And it is a come and go kind of thing. So come whenever, go whenever, whatever. And of course, we have our Wednesday sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, as we always do. That one is a Zoom link too. Now, don't get the two Zoom links mixed up. Read carefully, because I have people that do that every time. So it's right in the first line of each link which event the link is for. So please read that so you don't miss out. And so yeah, sewing with Stephanie and Stephen on Wednesday. 9 o'clock start time. We run till about 4 in the afternoon. Again, come and go as you please. All are welcome. And we especially love new people coming in because we like gobble you right up and make you feel horrible. No, we do not. It is a very, very friendly group and very supportive. And I've had a few people say to me, oh, I'd love to go to one, but I've just gotten into quilting and I haven't been doing it very long. That's fine. Everybody has to start sometime. I was like that too at one point, but there's no need to be afraid or think you'll be called out or anything like that. We're not. We're an extremely supportive group, and why we love new people is because if they need help, we're there to help them, because somebody was there to help us when we first got started too. Okay, so you will also find two links for my first two patterns. These links have been here for quite a while now, and I know some of you have taken advantage of that and gotten the free patterns, and that's fine. They'll always be free. I'm about to add 2 more patterns to that at the end of this month. Well, after the virtual retreat, we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to put my next 2 patterns up for grabs. Again, they will be free too. So there'll be more about those patterns after the retreat. All right, there's links to all my friends' channels as well, and there's links to most of the things I talk about today. I've already mentioned the tipping video, but there is a link, a special link, that's called the Idiot Quilter Spring 2025 Retreat Announcement. That goes live, well, by the time you see this, it will have gone live on my channel. And if you're interested in my virtual retreat, please watch that video. It explains everything you need to know about the retreat, how you register for it. It is a free event, but you need to reserve your spot. And everything else, presentations, the agenda for the day, how it all works, all that kind of stuff. So please watch that video. And many of you will be getting another email today. I'm sorry. It's going to be email week, which will take that puts in written form everything that I have said in that video. And if you're not on my mailing list and you have, you want to make sure you don't forget anything that I've said in the video, everything I've said in the video will be in the show notes for that video as well. So you can just copy and paste it into your word processor or whatever for future reference. So lots of opportunity to get all the information you need. It does fill up quickly. It hasn't opened yet. That's in the video. But just to spoiler alert, registration for this will open at 9 a.m. 1 week from today on Monday, April the 14th. No sooner than that. So don't try to register before that date because it will fall upon deaf ears. I'm trying to keep it fair. And don't try to register before 9 a.m. Eastern Time on April the 14th as well, because it'll fall on deaf ears. Yeah, I know. I'm a bugger, aren't I? Okay, so, and there's also links to my past week videos as well. All right, so, let's see. Let's talk about, no, let's take a look at what the weather is right now today here. Let me find the video of that, or not that video, but you know what I mean, my picture of that. Okay, why are my pictures not cooperating with me? So here's what it's looking like at 5 to 7 Monday morning outside my front door. You can see not a trace of snow. That is good. Trees are still bare, of course, but it's still early April, so we're not going to see much budding on those unless the weather really warms up soon. But yeah, spring is here, and our temperatures are starting to reflect that as well. The last week we've had temperatures single digit. Well, actually, we even went to double digit one day last week, but stuff's above 0 Celsius. And right now, currently, it is -2 degrees Celsius, so the mornings are frosty still. But the day, we're supposed to go to a high of 6 today, according to my weather app. And this week, tomorrow's going to be a little bit chilly. The high is only going to be -2 and windy. But then we go, for the rest of the week, we creep up, and Saturday, 10 degrees C. But Sunday and Monday of next week, 12 degrees C. And Wednesday of next week, 13 degrees C. So that is getting there to shorts weather. It is. And for those of you that don't understand the metric system, basically when I say 12 degrees above 0, I'm talking about 54 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's balmy for us in Canada. Yeah, that's what we consider good weather. So it's coming. We're getting there. Okay. So that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Okay. I said we weren't going to talk about politics, but we have to talk about a little bit about politics. So with the tariffs and everything like that, and what the great orange pumpkin is doing to my country and other countries in the world with those tariffs, here in Canada, there is a big push and movement which is bringing all us Canadians together to buy Canadian. Yes. And that's what Walter and I are doing. I've read more labels in stores on food products and other manufactured goods to figure out where it's made, who's distributing it, what the content is. Now, it's not that hard to not buy American, put it that way. Because let's face it, and this is for the Americans as well, a lot of the stuff we buy is partially or all made in China. And it has been that way for many, many years. That's why the great orange pumpkin's kind of naive about things. when he's putting tariffs on China and the whole bit and saying that China is taking away, jobs and production and everything from the Americans. Well, yeah, they are, but whose fault is that? American companies went to China because labor is cheaper and a lot of things are cheaper. So it makes sound business sense. If you want to maximize your profit, you want to keep your costs low. So whose fault was that? And China has certainly bought into that because it's great for their economy too. Now, I'm not saying that that is the best thing that has ever happened. However, it is a reality. And this great pumpkin of the Americans, he doesn't seem to understand the concept of reality as opposed to fantasy. But nevertheless, here in Canada, we are not taking this sitting down. We're saying, oh, basically, screw you. Okay? You're trying to screw us, we're going to screw you back. As you've heard me say before, don't poke the bear. Maybe I should say don't poke the moose. Either way, don't poke any of us. So we're making a conscious effort to try and buy Canadian. But here's the problem. And this is something maybe some people don't understand. The economies of our two countries, of Canada and the United States, are very, very tightly interwoven and connected. They have been for decades. Things pass across our border very, very freely in the business world. So you try and find something that is purely made, distributed, every part of it is made in Canada. And you're not going to find that many products that are like that. You will find some products that may be 70, 80, 90% Canadian. But you're not going to find many that are 100% Canadian. Now, this makes it difficult. And we have certain businesses out there, and one in particular that we've all been victims to. I don't know if victims is the right word, but they have a business model that definitely we have found attractive and we have bought into. And of course, I'm talking about Amazon, an American company, branches in Canada and other places in the world. They distribute a wide range of goods. You get them in a timely fashion, and prices are usually competitive. We've all been down the Amazon route. And I love Amazon. I'm sorry. I know that right now in this climate, that is not a good thing to say. I am trying to use it less. I have some things that I want, I can only get from Amazon. I try to look for alternative spots where I can purchase it, preferably Canadian. Well, yes, definitely Canadian. But some things we just don't make here in Canada. And I can't get my hands on them. So I will check and see who the distributor is. You can on Amazon, in most cases. A lot of them are China. Okay, not the best solution. However, given what I just said about the whole thing with trade with China, they're not the States. And basically, I think that's the way I have to look at it. Whatever I buy, as long as it doesn't contribute majorly to the American economy, then I can buy it. But not everything can I get that is not from the States. There are certain foods we can't get from the States, or that we get from the States that we don't have in Canada, like stuff that comes from California. We're not in our growing season right now. You have to eat. I mean, we try to do our part by, planting our own stuff under our grow lights, as you know. And when the warmer weather comes, we will definitely be, doing our container gardening again this year. Of course, this year we're going to focus very much more on growing things here that we normally probably would get from the States. So we're trying to do our part. It's a little thing that we're doing. But if all Canadians do the little thing, it amounts to a large thing. And it sends a message. Whether it'll fall on deaf ears or not, that's to be seen. It sends a message to the American government. No, we are not dependent upon you. And I think it's a good thing too. And again, I'm moving much more into the politics, but how can we not? That Canada should now turn to the EU, to Europe. And we should have done that a long time ago, but we didn't because the Americans were so convenient. It's kind of like Amazon. We're used to you. We don't have to fly our stuff halfway across the world or fly it in from halfway across the world. We can just go across our border, which is now being slowly shut down. Yes, Canadians have to register now if you're going to be there for over 30 days. We had a friendly border. We don't anymore. So, yeah, one thing has led to another. And I'm kind of getting off topic here. So let's bring this back to the whole buying Canadian. It's hard, but we have to try as best we can. And in a perfect world, here in Canada, we would be manufacturing our own stuff for our own people at reasonable prices. But the world's not perfect, as we well know. So, as I said, we try. And we are being much more conscious of, where things come from, which is not a bad thing. We've never really thought about it before, have we? So maybe it's time that we did think about it. Maybe that's what this is forcing us to do, this whole tariff thing. And we'll see where it goes from there. But yes, I am supporting my country as best I can by, spending a little bit more time sourcing what it is that I want to buy, where it comes from. And I think all Canadians need to do this right now for the sake of protecting our country. Okay, so let's talk about grow lights. And today I am not going to actually show you any pictures because everything looks about the same. Yes, we have a lot of peppers. And there is something you can do with peppers besides making stuffed peppers, putting them in salad. Well, what I'm about to show you is putting it in a salad. But I had one of my viewers about a year ago when all our peppers came on, when we were doing the container gardening, recommend a recipe to me. And I want to share that one with you right now. So this is a salad, but one of its main ingredients are peppers. And we really like this salad because there isn't any lettuce in it. There can be, but there doesn't have to be. And basically they describe it, it's called the Panzanella salad. It says with crispy olive oil soaked Italian bread, juicy tomatoes, bell peppers, and cucumbers, Panzanella makes a satisfying summer supper. Well, and this is the recipe for it. And it is great. So if you've got a lot of peppers, this is one way to eat them up when they're freshest. If you've got a good olive oil for making the salad dressing, the salad dressing is fantastic, by the way, and it's so easy. I'll just jump here to it. So basically it's just olive oil and let me find here what else is in it. White wine vinegar, garlic, some pepper and salt, and I believe there might be a touch of lemon juice in the olive oil. Does it tell you that? No, it's not. It's the vinegar that's the acid. Okay, that's really easy to make. And you just toss everything together, slither up your peppers. I will put this recipe in the link below for you to check it out. And it's delicious. It's very refreshing. I love the toasted bread. And they say use Italian bread. I use whatever I've got laying around with it. And you just basically toss it in some olive oil. And I toss it in olive oil with a little bit of garlic powder and some pepper and salt, and you toast it in your oven for a few minutes. Mix up all the tomatoes, cucumber, the peppers, and whatnot, and throw on the salad dressing with that. Let it sit in your fridge for maybe an hour. Just let it marinate a little bit. And then when it comes time to serve, throw on your bread pieces, your bread cubes, the croutons, if you wish, and serve it. And it's a meal in itself. If you want to fancy it up, you're free to add whatever else you have. They call for capers. I like capers. I usually have a bottle of capers in my fridge, but you don't have to have capers. But whatever you've got, you can put into this. Really, the best part about this salad is the salad dressing, and it's so easy to make. If you want to put in a little chicken, leftover ham, something like that, sure, go for it. It is great. But it's a great way, especially if you're growing your own stuff, for using it up and, eating it when it's at its freshest. So I highly recommend this recipe. Okay, so new products. Well, nothing. We're talking about buying from Amazon, but I did buy some filament from Bamboo Labs, which is my new printer company, and I used to buy my filament all from Amazon. I'm not doing that anymore. Buying it directly from Bamboo. Yes, Bamboo is a Chinese company. They have distribution outlets in the United States and in Canada. But their prices are better, and I like their filament a lot. Their filament is really nice filament, and it's cheaper than what I was buying on Amazon. So, not by tens of thousands of dollars, but it's still, it is cheaper, and I'm not buying it from Amazon. And their shipping, yes, it takes a little longer, but I usually get it within 3 days. So, yeah. And then I did break down, and I do not like this company for a variety of reasons, and many of you may know, but have you bought boxes lately? Boxes are not easy to buy in bulk. You can buy them on Amazon. They're expensive. The ones I want 8 by 8 by 8. 8 inches by 8 inches by 8 inches is what I want. They're the boxes I use primarily to send out the monthly prize from Stephen and Walter Live, and what I use for some other things. So I had to break down and buy them from Uline. Yeah, I know, but I did. And they're supposed to come in a few days. But they were about $20 cheaper for the same box from Amazon. And we don't have any box stores in my area that sell that size. We have a place that sells moving boxes, but they're too big. So there you are. Yeah, I tried. I tried to buy Canadian for it, and I had no luck. Okay, so that's all that I have bought. So nothing to show. So let's go to, can I print this 3D effing thing? Well, I've been in the Easter mood, I guess you would say. And just let me find my pictures here, and I will show you what I've been making. Okay, so I printed a whole bunch of very stylized Easter bunnies. I had a few from last year left over, and some various eggs, which were also left over from last year's 3D print. And I decided to do a display in our family room on our round coffee table. And I think it's kind of pretty. And those big bunnies you see, those very stylized bunnies, it's hard to see in the picture, but they are sort of lit up. There's a little tea light kind of thing that changes colors inside each one of those. And I run them with a remote control kind of a thing. And it looks very pretty, I think. It's festive. I don't get into a lot of holiday decorating except at Christmas time, but I do like to put out the seasonal things. And so this is my April seasonal for Easter display. And now I did make a video of my Easter display, so I'm going to insert that little clip right in here now. on another table, which I didn't take a picture because at the time of taking this picture, these weren't made yet, but the same person who makes all those models, the Haunted Mansion and the Christmas house and the theater that I've been working on and the new one, he just put out this new model for about, I think it was $6 to buy it. It's a dragon egg, and I think they're really fun. And the top opens up, and so if you wanted to, you could make them in 3 different sizes and nest them, like those Russian dolls. Someone suggested that on one of my videos. Um, or and you could, if you want to give them as a little gift or something, you can put things inside of them. I thought of, like, on the big one, taking one of my little dragons and having him hanging out of there, because they are dragon eggs after all. But they're just fun. And this guy's projects are fantastic because they all fit together so well. They print so well. I absolutely love it. I'm thinking about writing him a little note to tell him how much I appreciate his creative talent, and, tell him I've made, I'm working on number 4 now of his designs. And there's another one that I want to get down the road. It's called the Toy Factory. And yeah, and it has, if I buy the little motor for it, it has a little moving conveyor belt. But anyways, I digress, as I often do. So yeah, I'm really into the Easter celebrations with these kind of decorations. And, before you think that the stuff I make is just for decor, I do make some practical things as well. And I'm going to show those practical things to you as a before and after picture. So this is my drawer in my desk before. It's a mess, a real mess. But thanks to the wonderful world of 3D printing, it is no longer a mess. Yeah, I threw a few things out they didn't need, but I made these baskets. The baskets you see in there are all ones that I made on the 3D printer, and they just keep stuff in my drawers very neat and tidy. I know it's a little thing, but if you have the technology, well, you're going to say, well, why didn't you go to the dollar store? You could have bought baskets. Yes, I could have, but I couldn't buy the baskets that would fit exactly in the way I wanted them to fit in this drawer. And I've done this to all my drawers, actually. And I've also done them in my drawers where I was keeping my fat quarters, because now those drawers are very neat as well. And I'll be showing that on Idiot Quilter tomorrow. But yep, 3D printing is a wonderful thing. If you need it, you can make it. Okay, so that takes me to old clips from earlier versions of S&W Live. And this one's about English drag shows.
Okay, so speaking of weird things that, we went to a drag show at a place called Halfway to Heaven.
Right.
And we'd been there before. 3 years ago we were there. It's a small little pub. Of course, it's gay. But they had quite a mixed crowd in there. Well, they didn't at first. You kind of go downstairs in this place, and it's very, very tiny. And we got there early before the show was to start because we knew it would fill in very quickly. And we were able to get a table. I think they only had 2. And we got our beers and sat there. And one of the drag queens, before the show started, asked if it mind if these 2 guys, seemed to be these 2 older gentlemen, who are regulars there, if they could sit with us. And we said, sure, no problem. So we talked to them, and that was very pleasant. And then the show came on. And one of the things that I don't like drag shows particularly, because big deal, it's a guy.
Normally what happens in the drag shows in Canada or in USA is there's guys dressed up in ladies' clothes and they lip sync to songs, right? So, but in Britain, in this particular pub, and I guess in other pubs in Britain, they actually sing with their own voices, which makes it interesting.
Yeah, and they don't try to mimic a woman's voice. They use their own voices. I mean, they're all dressed up. They've got the makeup, the whole bit. but they actually sing in their own voices. And plus, they do a lot of comedy as well.
Yeah,
They
make fun of people in the
Yeah,
audience.
they picked on us for a while from coming from Canada, but we knew they would. And that kind of thing. It's just a good taste. And actually, too, what I found, at least well, actually, these were the same two drag queens we saw 3 years ago. There, I guess they're resident people for the whole place. But the one thing I noticed, which is different from the drag shows we've been to here in our own country, the language. They do a fairly PG rated show. Now, I don't know if it gets raunchier as it goes on because they took a break after being on there for about 45 minutes or so. Then they take a half-hour break and they come back on. I don't know how many parts they do. We only stayed for the first part, so maybe they get a little raunchier as time goes by. But here, the F word is basically used as every part of speech, and it's all very obvious sexual puns and, well, it's very blatant here. There, they seem to have a little bit of couth about them. They seem to have a bit of class. It's still funny. It's still a little bit on the edge, but you know, they don't use bad language, which.
Or maybe they just use bad language in English and you didn't notice.
In English,
like in Britain English slang.
Well, maybe, but I don't think it's that much. We know most of the slang words in it. It's not that different from our own. But I don't know. Anyways, maybe there's just a classier act altogether with it. But that was very entertaining. Mm-hmm. But as I said, we stayed for the first hour of it, and when they went on a break,
we decided to leave.
We decided to leave at that point.
Because I figured that the second half of the show would be pretty much the same as the first half. So,
mind you, one of the problems too is they just got started in their act, and then a bunch of these people came from downstairs that were a straight crowd. Bunch of women upstairs. Yeah, what did I say?
They came downstairs. They came
downstairs.
Okay, right.
So they were upstairs, came downstairs, up downstairs, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, they came down, and they were already having a good time, half tanked. I think they all worked together or something. Well, the women were nuts. And what did they do? They all stood, and the guys were all very tall. They all stood right in front of our table. So, I mean, this was a very, very, very small venue to start with. But, yeah, that was kind of, and they kept looking over at us. And this one woman, Walter thinks she was trying to get me up to dance.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
No. One, it's not that I don't dance. It's I don't dance with women I don't know. In fact, I don't dance with women I do know anymore. So, no, I think she was there to like, oh, everybody loves it when the straights come to a gay thing. No, we don't. Everybody's polite to you, but really, if you could read our minds, we're probably saying, why are you coming in and ruining our good time? Really? Would you put up with a bunch of us coming in half tanked and throwing ourselves around the room at everybody and that kind of stuff? I don't think so. But anyways, they weren't that bad. They were kind of amusing, actually. I was waiting for the one woman to fall over our table and land out on the floor flat out because she was not that stable on her feet.
Yeah.
She's the one that
wanted. And I think the guys with them were trying to get him more drunk.
Yeah, I think so. They were maybe hoping the women would go home and they could stay. Well, anyway.
So that takes me to events in the past week. Well, Walter had to get his tooth fixed again. You know, about a week ago, he broke a tooth. He was biting into a hard piece of licorice. Do not bite hard candies. My mother always told me that. Anyways, he did. He broke his tooth. So our dentist, we call him the Tooth Fairy, because he's part of our tribe, and he fixed him right up. But he did warn Walter and said he didn't know whether or not this was going to last. I guess because of, you know, the location of it or whatever in his mouth. He said, so there is a possibility that if this comes off or whatever, we might have to do a crown. So guess what? It came off. So Walter, tail end of last week, was back in to see the Tooth Fairy. He didn't get a crown though. Tooth Fairy fixed it again, as he said, it's warranty work. He didn't charge Walter for it. Great guy, great dentist. But I think he used before I think he was using crazy glue. Now he's using concrete to hold it in. So I don't know. So we'll see how this one goes as well. But yeah, that was the height of last week. Wow, excitement, really. And nothing else was happening last week. So what's coming up? Well, you already know Pop-Up Sew Day on this coming Saturday, April 12th. Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen on Wednesdays as always. However, there's another opportunity for you to have a sew day this coming weekend. It can be a whole weekend of sewing day because my friend Russ of Quilt Meets World is having his sewing shenanigans on Sunday. So tune in to his vlog on Wednesday for the details about that as well. But you can have a whole weekend of sewing if you so desire. So lots of opportunities there. Yeah, I think that's about it. Do check out the video. It is now live on my channel for the virtual retreat to learn everything you know about that and probably a few other things you didn't need to know about that as well. And tune into the Idiot Quilter tomorrow to see how things are going with the giraffe and other little projects. Oh, by the way, that little star-looking block that's by the giraffe, that's a secret project. More about that possibly on So Chatty on Friday. Yeah. And we may be deep cleaning Walter's sewing machine. We shall see. Okay, I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.